Howdy everybody, it's me again, Austin. As you can see with the random assortment of boxes behind me, I'm just kind of filming on location at my stepmom, father, and I's shared little storage unit thing here. And really, at one point it was more his stuff, but we kind of had to upgrade units because I moved to St. Louis and I didn't move my whole apartment out with me. Then when I moved back, I was just kind of bouncing around for a little bit, and it wouldn't have been until like last October that I secured a place with my roommate that I still currently am living with. Yeah, it's pretty funny how things work, like I was talking about how we should be savoring the present moment because everything changes. And I guess at a certain point, it's like, damn, was I just like giving advice to my future self? Because what I want to say, like a week or 2 weeks after that, I got canned basically from my job. And well, I'm mainly over it. It's just like, it's agitating still in the sense that, like, there's been times where I've been fired and all I could do was be like, you know what, like, that's pretty accurate. Like, I fucked up, And I'll be humble and say, like, one example, I was in my early 20s. I must have been like 22 or 23 years old, man. And I was working in a parts department for a rather large trucking fleet. I think this is a few years ago now, but I want to say in 2020, 2021, they were like the 30th largest fleet in the United States. And they had like a shit ton of terminals everywhere. But anyways, I was dealing with a particular trucker that was like a lease operator or something like that. I think he actually owned his own truck, so anything that I did in my shop, I actually had to outright charge him. But, he's like, keep shaking me down because the wait time on the parts are so long, and I'm like, bro, my hands are tied. And I finally had enough after one exchange, because I just remember this guy being like a dick to me so many times. And honestly, that time he wasn't so much being an asshole to me, but I was already done with the guy. And I remember I thought that I had hung up the phone, but it only kind of sort of caught on the receiver part, so it was still live. Yeah. And it was really embarrassing because I remember a few moments later, like I kind of got pulled out when I was, or maybe it was like right as I was leaving or something, but it was like a Friday, so I kind of had to like sit with impending doom for a whole weekend. And then I think I got canned either Monday or on like a Tuesday, kind of halfway through the day. That is a pretty humbling experience. So say if you're going to talk shit about somebody you work with or even vaguely work with, probably best to just like keep it to yourself, or maybe like bullshit with your buddies outside of work. Like definitely not the venue to be airing your grievances out. But in this instance, I remember feeling like very confused and just struck with, just a massive amount of confusion. And, usually I even get like a little pissed off when I'm like, get fired, but this time I didn't even really care because I think I just realized like the dude that fired me, I didn't even really like him or really respect him in the first place. So it's like, if somebody if I don't respect or like look up or, you know, admire somebody in some sort of way, it's like whatever you're telling me, whatever this information is, it's valueless to me. It has no value, you know, like I don't really respect what you think about me. I don't really respect you as a person. Like I don't care what your thought is. And you know, I'm really guarded, so I tend to just be to myself a lot, and that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, you know. Again, literally the job after the job I was talking about with the phone situation, here we are. I'm working at an even larger trucking fleet in North America immediately after I get fired from my previous job for running my mouth. This time I was like so reactionary because of what had just happened that I just zipped my lips. And this is typically like how I exist in my day-to-day life. Like, you know, being an introvert, it really bothers certain types of people because there's just some people that can't fathom like not filling the airwaves with like speaking. Because besides my really close friends and these videos, I don't really talk to people like this, you know. Yeah. But I remember, well, the first day I sat down all day because that's what I would have done at my previous job. And then I was told that I had to look like I was doing something because the mechanics have to justify why they're there all day. So, and then I'm just thinking like, bro, like, I'm a clerk, like, I bring it out when it's needed. So I always thought that was a little unnecessary, but I tried to play ball by the rules that they set. And then I remember I wasn't making the cut. I didn't have the right communication style, and I wasn't the right fit for this particular shop's work culture, I don't think. So I remember I got pulled in for like, I guess, a sort of performance meeting, and my shop manager just wasn't really impressed, I guess. So I think he was trying to subtly let me know that he's thinking about letting me go. And I just remember feeling like really targeted because, like, I remember being described as cold and aloof. And the thing that I've always maintained is like, you know, I'm quiet, I'm not calm. You know, I'm quiet, I'm just not expressive. And I think a lot of people just kind of write like a lot of us introverted people off as like, oh, we don't really feel too deeply, we don't really take things too seriously, so like they'll probably be like the strongest and they should be able to shrug shit off the best. And that's just simply not the case, man. Like, introverts, we feel things just as deeply as everybody else, but sometimes, like, you know, whether it's like the way someone grew up or just like how life handled them, you know, some people just don't feel safe being super social in like a work context, and I feel like people just need to like respect that. It doesn't necessarily mean you don't want to get to know your coworkers, but sometimes, you know, you need that distinction between work and friends. And I think in my previous industry that was blurred a lot. I think people thought of each other more as friends than coworkers. I feel like it led to like a lot of preventable fights. Everybody was seemingly in everybody's business. And then, you know, the whole fishing in the company pond thing, if you heard that phrase before. It's just not what I want to be around, you know. And unfortunately, I'm one of those people then I'm very receptive to like the environments I'm in, and when they're really gross and like low energy and groggy, like I start feeling like shit and shitty myself. And you know, when I'm around people, like I feel actually safe around and stuff, you know, I feel better. um you know, this past job, it was better than like my acid plant job in a lot of regards, but it was also like worse in some instances. Like, you know, there was like a lot of politic play in the the factories. You know, I saw a lot of people get let go, but you could tell it was for like BS reasons and that they just wanted to shuffle the person out. Well, honestly, in the industry I just got out of cannabis, I feel like I saw not only stuff like that, but maybe even an order of magnitude higher, where like people were basically just flat out being fucked over. Um, you know, I saw a kid that I worked with get fired for asking to go home early because I think they had some sort of like problem at the place, at their house, whatever. And you know, I wasn't there that day, but I guess my old GM just let him go after he asked that. So when this kid filed for unemployment, that same GM said he's not gonna get anything from me, I guess, and just like denied it. And I learned from that guy's brother that it was basically denied with the reason that the kid actually walked out himself, which just is simply not true. It's just a flat out lie. So it's like, you know, I don't know. I feel like people need to take more responsibility when they're gonna break someone's plate. I don't really understand the current age's like work culture. They want all this like, you know, be part of our like company family, and it's like that's not how it works. Like, this isn't a natural thing. Like, if we just have more realistic expectations of each other, it won't be so bad. But to try to parade it around as like, you know, we're a big family, and you know, you work with these people outside of your family a bunch, and they become like your family. And I guess maybe that's like true to an extent, but I wouldn't say so nowadays, because turnover rates are so fucking abysmal anymore that like for instance, at the factory I worked at, like most of the people I worked with didn't last more than 2 to 3 weeks. And that really should have been my red flag with that place, was like the turnover rate was just so goddamn high. It just didn't really make a whole lot of sense, you know. But that's what it is, you know. Looks like the other person that's here is left, so it's just me. But yeah, I just needed to come out here and just kind of get my thoughts in check. I thought about going on a hike, but holy shit, it's fucking hot as fuck in here, and I think I'm not gonna be useful for much after this, so I'll probably just go home and apply to more jobs. Good thing is I do have a job interview tomorrow. It is a non-cannabis job, and I'm hoping that I could score the job and kind of just work on more, maybe something better for me at this moment, because I think I'm just looking for something where, like one of my bandmates said it, you know, just something where I could put my head down and get weekends off, you know. It was interesting doing a bunch of the back end stuff for a dispensary, but once you realize the type of person that you're working for and you're being basically exploited, and you're doing like a bunch of fucking jobs in one description, and no, you know, you had to twist the guy's arm for like a raise already, so he lies to you, you don't get a raise within a year. So that's what it is. You live and you learn. I'm realizing that my 20s were probably more of like for the experience, but I really need my 30s to be about the plan. And seeing that I'll be turning 30 in a little over 2 months, I just need to figure something out. I don't have too many like major cross-state, interstate moves left in me. I don't have too many career switches left in me. You know, I just have a very narrow focus. I'm thinking about just buying lands, buying a yurt, put my yurt on that land, and just paying property taxes on the land itself. And I'll probably just live closer out to the woods, have like a little garden, sort of homestead and setup going. Yeah, because times are hard. Nobody wants to pay worth the shit. And we're basically all fighting for the bigger scraps from the table. And that sucks. And one day I hope I can pull myself out of poverty and pull other people out. But, yeah. I have a stacked resume. Should be alright. It's a little bit of a bummer. But, it was interesting, you know, for what it was worth. It was interesting working in the cannabis industry. Something I'll definitely tell my kids about. But, yeah, that's about all it is. So, hopefully this interview tomorrow goes well. It also has made me realize, like, I want to invest more, I guess, in things for my YouTube channel. I kind of feel like I want to get one of the little clip-on microphones and stuff, because I do like making videos. It's just like, it ebbs and it flows within my life kind of thing. But I'm burning up, man. That's about all I got to say. I'm gonna go fill my car up and just drive home and think about life.